Hey there guys, Dr. Robert Pate here, and I was encouraged by a colleague to talk through how I went about creating my Psychology Today profile. So I've got my screencast going here, and I hope you'll follow along with me, and we're going to check out what I've done with my Psychology Today profile. And to give you a little background here, I went through a stretch for a few months. I've got a part-time practice. I don't do a ton to market it. And I had a pretty good year last year. It was my first year in private practice, a lot of years in different clinics and hospitals and things, but it was kind of a new bear going into private practice and without a ton of time because of my full-time teaching job. I didn't have a ton of time to market. So Psychology Today really has been a really useful tool for me. I've had several word-of-mouth referrals, but really Psychology Today is where more than half of my income has come from as a private practice therapist in the last year. So I thought I'd share how I went about doing my Psychology Today profile, because I went through a stretch of a few months at the beginning of this year where I wasn't getting any referrals. And so I went ahead and I listened to a podcast on selling the couch. And so you can check out that podcast, great stuff on there. And I updated my profile after listening to that, and seriously, within 24 hours of doing that, got 2 referrals from Psychology Today. And just in the last, 3 weeks, I've had 6, maybe 7 different Psychology Today referrals from that. So I can't say that it was something magic that I did, but I thought I'd walk you through the changes I made just in case it happens to be useful for you. I thought it was some great advice that I received, and so I just want to pass it along with a little visual here. So I've got Psychology Today popped up on my screen here. This is the search feature, so we're just going to search for my city. We're going to go Huntington Beach, California. That's where my practice is located, so we'll see where I pop up here. Alright, so the goal is always to try and get on that first page. I don't know what their algorithm is, but here I am. By the way, if you happen to have a doctorate and you want it to pop up there, there's kind of a little trick you can do. The only way I've found to get that up there is to put that as part of your first name. So go ahead and put that as part of your first name if you happen to have the letter D after your name. Just another thing to catch people's eye if you've put in the decade of college to get that. Now it looks a little funny when you get an email from Psychology Today. When I get an email, it says Dr. Robert Pate, because Psychology Today calls me Dr. Pate, but not on the profile. So if you want that to pop up, that's something there. But I know that's not for everybody, so anyway, just throwing that out there. So if we go ahead and click on my profile here, I can tell you what I ended up doing here first off was just creating a very different feel to my text here, and I'm sure it'll change over time, and as my specialties change, or if I want to highlight a different element of my practice, I'll go ahead and change that. Thank you, Selling the Couch. Great advice there. But if you look through here, I'm really just trying to talk to my client. I know they don't care too much about certifications that I have and where I went to school and all that. I mean, like, they're not interested. They want to know, are you going to get me? Are you going to understand me? Can you resonate with me and my concerns that I'm bringing to therapy? So I tried to make it as personable as I could and really reflect my kind of, I guess, casual or carefree nature in sessions. I tend to laugh with my clients quite a bit, so I tried to have that come through a bit in my profile. So, feel free to take a read there, and even pause this and take a look and see. I can't say there's anything magical about that, and certainly don't write those kinds of things if it's not you, but really do try to capture who you are in your profile here. And I can tell you that Psychology Today will give you prompts for these paragraphs, and you do not have to write what they ask you to write in those things. You can write whatever you want. You could write a recipe for the best tomato soup you've ever had in there. They don't care. So write something that you think will be meaningful and capture your client's attention. Especially if we look at this first line here, this is all people have to see. So go ahead and, when you get a chance after watching this, go back to that search page and just read that first line of everybody's profile, because that's really all they have to go on is your picture, which should be colorful, right? Take a look at pictures from a client's viewpoint and say, what's catching my eye? And then do that. Change your picture to do that. It might be the most useful 25 minutes you spend having somebody take your picture in a brightly colored shirt or with a green background or something so that it catches the client's eye instead of a white wall in your office or something with a boring brown blazer on or something, right? Get their attention, because that's, first of all, they're picking you. It's kind of like high school. They're picking you based on popularity. What do you look like? Do you look like someone I might be interested in? And then next thing they're going to do is read your little first liner here. So make sure that captures their attention somehow. And then the rest, you've got their attention, so now it's your job not to lose it. But I want to talk to a couple other things here. Make sure that your specialties are things that you really do want to specialize in. That's what they're going to look at as well. Make sure you've connected a website, even if it's just your blog or something, connect a website here. Make sure they have somewhere else to click through. Under years of practice, if you'd like, you can include, they don't say number of years you've been in private practice or number of years you've been licensed. They just want to know how many years have you been practicing? How many years have you been seeing clients? Right? I always think it's funny when we think about medical doctors or psychologists or LCSWs or whatever it is, we talk about it as a practice like we're not finished yet, right? We're still gaining skills, and that's why we have to do CEUs and all of that. So really, as long as you've been practicing therapy and seeing clients and getting better at it, throw that in there. So let's say if you're newly licensed MFT and you finished your degree a couple years ago, you spent the last 2 years getting your hours, and you just passed your licensing exam, don't put 0 there or 1. Put the 2 or 3 years that you were in graduate school as long as you were seeing clients, right? We don't want to mislead them and think that just being in school counts as being in practice. But if you started working at the Salvation Army or your local church or at a private practice, seeing a couple of clients here and there, that's your practice. So I would say include that in your years in practice here. Your school's great. You can put the year that you graduated if you'd like to. If you don't want them to know that because you've included, say, those couple of years that you were in graduate school there, maybe a few years depending on if you did multiple degrees or a master's and then a doctorate or something. I would say, you don't have to put your year that you graduated. You certainly can if you think that'd be useful. I'd say especially if it was a long time ago, that might be a good thing for your clients to see, wow, they've been around a long time, they're really experienced. If it was more recent for you, maybe leave that off. It's not a requirement, and again, I don't think the clients are going to care that much. What they're going to care about more is this stuff up here. Will you understand me? Because we all know people that have been around a long time and are not worth the piece of paper on their wall, and we know a lot of people who have just started their graduate program. Maybe you're teaching at a college and you know somebody who just started and they've just got that therapy gene. You know that just their words and their ears are golden and they're going to help everybody. So not the most important thing, but if you'd like to include it, go for it. Definitely include your license number so they can look you up, or your MFT registration number, intern number, whatever it might be. Include your finances here. Even if you've only got 1 or 2 sliding scale spots, go ahead and include that sliding scale piece, because you never know who's going to get in touch with you. They might make a fantastic connection with you, and even if your sliding scale slots are full or you've only got 1 that's pretty much always full, it might still get them to give you a call, and then you can talk them through some other options, if they can do an out-of-network charge. I put that I accept insurance here. I don't do direct billing, but I have several clients who do out-of-network, and I give them a super bill, and their insurance company will pay 60 or 70% of the fee, making it much more tolerable for them. Let's see. Make sure you put, any of the payment methods that you accept there. Under my insurance plans here, I can provide a super bill and out-of-network, so I'm not trying to mislead them with any particular insurance plan that I accept, but I just want them to think, yeah, maybe my insurance will cover meetings with Dr. Pate. So definitely be thinking about that. I would say I've seen a lot of people putting in this section up here. I think Psychology Today may prompt you to fill this in with this, but I'm certified in this type of therapy, like I'm EMDR certified or Prepare Enrich certified, or you've had training with a particular guru. Clients don't care. Most clients don't know a thing about therapy unless they've been before. And again, those that have been before know it's not the certifications, but it's this part up here, right? Who are you? That's what's going to help them. Do you connect with me? Heck, research backs that up. 50% of our research is 50% of our change for our clients is telling us it's the connection, not the kind of therapy you're practicing. So instead of putting that stuff up here, use this space for what can I say that will be the hook for them. You might throw a little something in there. I'm a professor, and I feel like that gives clients a little bit of confidence in me that someone else has trusted me to teach other people how to do this stuff. So I include that there. But if you've got a lot of certifications, I mentioned Prepare Enrich or EMDR, whatever your thing is, go ahead and throw that down here. Maybe you've got something unique. Maybe you work with a particular population. Feel free to throw that in here, but also remember, you've got space on the right to work on, to throw out who you work with. For different thoughts about, whether to include everything you do over here or just one or two things that you specialize in, certainly the more you narrow it down, the more narrow your client focus is going to be, but that can be a good thing. Maybe you'll get people to see you more as that specialist that you'd like to be instead of generalist. So, that there's nothing great or bad about either one of those things, just kind of some pros and cons to both. Okay, trying to think if there's anything else I want to throw out here. That is all that's coming to mind for me right now. I hope you enjoy. I hope it's helpful for you. I hope you get lots of referrals out of this. It's a great service, and really, if you get one referral a year out of Psychology Today, it pretty much pays for itself, especially if they're at your full fee. If you are having a hard time setting your fees, a great blog I'd recommend, I forget the gal's name, but just Google, "You're setting your fees wrong." Because if you get one client from Psychology Today and they're at your full fee, they're paying for it. So make sure your full fee is worth it, that it's set properly so you can have the practice you want. So that's a talk for another day, though. I'm going to sign off. Again, Dr. Pate here, working with California Altura Vista in Huntington Beach. Good luck with your profiles.